Hey, this is Travis. Today we're going to go over 4 distinctly different ways that I've used to make money on Bittensor. And before we get started, I just want to plead with you to please be very careful with your TAO. I think it's the most valuable asset on the planet right now, or at least it will be, and you need to treat it like it's absolutely priceless. So please don't recklessly gamble it on subnets that your favorite YouTuber is shilling or your favorite ex-influencer or whatever. They're looking for somebody to be their exit liquidity. So I'm cognizant of this myself, and I try not to shill the subnets that I'm invested in, and I've talked about very few of them actually on this channel because of that. My goal with this channel is to give you kind of like the mental framework that I have set up to help me find ways to profit within Bittensor. So the first is trading or maybe bots. I'm going to keep this separate from investing in alpha, more so just like trading and seeing patterns and trading based off of those. So when I look at charts within Bittensor, like the alpha charts, I see a lot of volatility. Those jumps, that's volatility, and volatility is opportunity. So I'd say that if you're like somebody who's trying to learn how to trade and whatnot, on Bittensor, I think it's probably right now, at least, an easier market to trade than outside of Bittensor because there's just less people using their trading strategies to like flatten out the price like you see on Forex markets where the price is very stable over time. If you just think of like a chart that goes up and down all the time, that's a really easy chart to trade. Because when it goes down, you buy. When it goes up, you sell. Whereas with the Forex markets, it's very slow. And so it's much harder to profit off of those. So if you're like a new trader, you want the volatility to learn on, I think. If you're technical and you have the ability to create bots to do your trading for you, I think there's a whole bunch of opportunity there. Like if I wasn't doing this channel, if I wasn't spending my time on this channel, I would probably be building bots. I've already built 1 or 2 bots on Dynamic TAO that have been successful. I can go over the trading strategy I used on the first one. Basically with that is my hypothesis was that a new subnet, when it just gets registered, and there's no information about it, nobody even knows who the subnet owner is. The hypothesis I had was once the price gets low enough, I should buy it at a particular price. And then once it's announced who the subnet owner is, then I'll just sell it after that pump, because usually there's a pump in price once the subnet owner is known. So I had done a lot of research on that and just trying to figure out, okay, when should I start buying it? When it gets down to 0.005, maybe when it gets down to 0.004. Eventually I ended up at around 0.003 or 0.002 is when I was buying at. So here's an example of one of the subnets that I would maybe look to invest in. I can't remember if I did this one or not. But if looking at the price here, it comes down. I don't think the subnet owner was known at this point. And then eventually, boom, there's some big news. The subnet owner probably said what they were going to use the subnet for and, became public at that point. So this is like my exit signal as I would, once the price pumps like this, I'd get out. And like I was saying, I'd purchase around 0.002 or 0.003. So I would be kind of buying and down in this area, and then I would see that pump. And the only reason I was thinking to buy in this area was just based off of the math and the history of what had already happened on for subnet prices. The price for like all of these charts. So if I was just to look at another one of these subnets that was newer. Subnet 77 here, it has this big price collapse, then just kind of flounders for a while, and then there was some big announcement here. So like I say, I was kind of buying between 0.002 and 0.003. Again, it's just based off of looking at these charts and finding patterns, and that seemed to be the place to buy. But this strategy no longer works now because on some of these new subnets, you can see here the price is like ridiculous for a while. That's because the emissions into the subnet are turned off until this big plop down in the price, and then they're turned on. Now, I think the idea there is to give the subnet owners the chance to prepare, to get their GitHub out, to do all those things first before there's a whole bunch of speculation. But the goal was showing you that is that I had just come up with this random idea. It had never been tried before. I lost on a few subnets. I won on a few subnets. But in general, I made money doing that strategy and it worked out for me. So yeah, if you want to learn trading, I think Bittensor might be a place to do that where it's not too difficult because there isn't a huge amount of competition with other traders to execute like the same strategy. And then number 2 is alpha investment and research. So I've gone into this in a few of my other videos where I research subnets a little bit more deeply, and then I make a little bit more educated investment decisions for the medium term. I wouldn't say long term. I don't have any long-term alpha investments right now because I have no idea what the ecosystem will look like in a year. In a year, there might be like 5 new subnets that don't exist yet that blow everything out of the water. Like, we just don't know. So I have no long-term holds as far as alpha right now. But with that considered, doing a little bit of research and just looking and comparing subnets to one another, I think you can get some good entries that way and feel a little bit more confident about your investments for like a medium-term investment. Now, I show you how to do that in my other videos. I don't think very many other people are doing that. Like, I think they're just like following people on Twitter and just taking influencers' advice for which subnets to invest in. And I think that's a really terrible way of investing, is just based off of what your favorite influencer says, which subnets to invest in. Also, the cool thing about being an investor in some of these early subnets is that outside of Bittensor, it's really hard to invest in startups. You can invest in like crypto project startups, but they all have like terrible tokenomics. So they're just like really not worth looking at unless you're trying to find other people to dump on. Whereas like Bittensor subnets are actual investments. Some of them are actual investments that will do well over time. Certainly not all though. So number 3, I have mining. I've mined on a few subnets myself. The tricky part with that is that it's pretty technically involved. Now, if you really want to mine and you're somewhat technically savvy, maybe you've got some holes or whatever, then you can take a look at my free mining course. Link is in the description. It gives you all the tools that you'll need to get started mining, but it's not going to make you necessarily a profitable miner. You have to do that on your own. So as far as mining goes, it is getting simpler on some subnets. So you've probably heard me talk about Bitcast before, where miners are content creators that are evaluated by an AI and then getting paid in TAO based on their views by providing marketing services to Bittensor's more promising subnets. Now, what this means is that you can get involved and become a miner even if you're not very technically savvy. Bitcast recently added this concept of agencies, which allows YouTubers to become managed under one UID, basically making the process of becoming a miner a lot simpler by having somebody else do the setup for you. So it's lowering the barrier to entry for new miners. So in the longer term, Bitcast's vision is to have hundreds or thousands of creators on the subnet. But right now, it's still a fairly small subnet. And so there's actually lots of opportunity because of that. And I think there's other subnets as well that are making it a little bit simpler for miners. There's some subnets that require basically no maintenance. TAO is that like mixer one. I don't know exactly how it works, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't require a huge amount of maintenance over time once you have the miner set up. Now, I think what makes the most sense for you is to look at what your strengths are and then try to find a subnet that might fit into those strengths. So this brings me to my 4th way to make profit on Bittensor, which I'm going to call unknown or random. Just getting involved and starting and doing something, whatever you're really strong at, whatever your niche is, whatever you can contribute to Bittensor with, start doing that. And the reason I say that is because it is something that I have seen time and time again lead to a job in Bittensor, either working for a subnet, like a subnet's owners, or a job at validators, etc. Now, to really drive this home, I want to tell you the story of Mache. So Mache is a really intelligent guy from Germany. And as such, he knew nobody in Bittensor, but he started getting involved and learning about it and just kept learning, just had this huge passion for learning and consuming more and more, trying to understand the whole Bittensor ecosystem. And eventually through that started building learnbittensor.org, which is a fantastic resource, by the way. But he wasn't doing that because he was paid. Nobody actually paid him to do that. He had no plans like long-term to sell it or anything like that. He was just trying to build this thing that he was passionate about. So he built this website over the course of many, many months in his basement. And he would sometimes send me links to the ideas that he had for it, but he wasn't like putting it out there. He wasn't, telling people about it, making it public. It was this private thing that he was building. And I kept telling him, put it out, put it out, put it out. And then finally he did. And through that, it just kind of exploded from there. People love the site. People use it all the time. And then JJ from Layton Holdings, he got in contact with Mache and wanted to basically help him out with the website and bring him on board at Layton. So Mache wasn't even really looking for that. He was just doing what he could, what his passions were in the space. Myself, I have such a strong passion for Bittensor as well. I was at the point of like, I need to figure out how to explain this better because like my friends need to know about this. You know, my family needs to know about this. So I started creating videos just to show them, to really try to tell them what this is all about. And then things snowballed from there, right? I, got a bunch more subscribers. I started getting into contact with people that, were kind of bigger names in the space, and eventually worked at a couple companies. And now I'm just working as a miner full-time on Bitcast. It's really beneficial for me because I get to keep growing this channel, this thing that I love to do, which is try to help people understand Bittensor and explain it and help people make better decisions about Bittensor and grow my channel as well. So my subscribers are growing. I don't know if you know anything about growing a YouTube channel, but you start to get offers from people, hey, talk about my product or whatever it is. And right now I push them all aside because I'm like, I don't care about your exchange that you want me to shill or whatever it is. Like, I just want to talk about Bittensor. But, say everything blew up tomorrow, I would still have my channel, right? I could still build that into a business. So it's really beneficial for me mining on this channel right now because I kind of get to do what I want to do. So again, my advice to you here is find your niche, the thing that you care a lot about. Maybe you really care about cancer research. Well, you can get involved with one or two subnets that are doing that. Maybe you're good at advertising and you see a subnet that you think has poor advertising that has a lot of potential. I think step one, if you haven't done so already, is go to the Bittensor Discord and start getting involved there. Now, I get people that are messaging me there every now and then, and I can see that they have like no messages. They've never even put a message into the general chat in Bittensor. And I ignore those people because the people that I want to associate with and chat with are the people who are like really passionate about Bittensor. So I think one way to kind of build up your reputation is to just start posting on there, even if it's just asking questions about how things work. Just build up a bit of a reputation on that Discord. And through that, over time, I think that kind of builds a bit of a resume or a reputation that you can use to get involved with, working with a subnet owner or a validator, et cetera. So that's 4 ways, right? So trading or bots, alpha investment and research, actually mining, or getting involved peripherally as like an employee of like a validator or a subnet owner or whatever. Now, I really want to drive home the point that there is a crapload of opportunity on Bittensor. If my channel got banned by YouTube tomorrow or something, I would look at these 4 things that I've just spoken about and I'd say, oh crap, yeah, there's that one trading strategy I've been meaning to try, but I haven't because I've been making videos. Like, there's so many different opportunities that I see where I'm basically at the point now where I'm like, okay, well, that doesn't interest me or that doesn't seem lucrative enough. And I worry that some like Bittensor enthusiasts are not seeing all these different opportunities. And these are like just the opportunities that I've seen with my particular skill set, right? Your opportunities might be way different than this. I think that there's just so much. So like I say, step 1, get involved by making a account on the Bittensor Discord and start making a bit of a name for yourself. Maybe not a name, but like a bit of an online reputation. And then you can start chatting with people. Eventually you'll make friends. And then there's so many different things, right? I could even bring up my editor, the guy who's editing this right now. He's started to get involved in Bittensor just by reaching out to me, asking what editing software that I use. I saw that question to me was like, oh, this guy has a bit of a passion for Bittensor. I'll start chatting with him, and then now we're working together. So more than anything right now, what I look for in the people that I want to work with is a strong passion. And again, the way to do that is to start getting involved in the Discord so that I can look through your past messages and see that passion.